Good evening, Book War folks. We'll just sit here for a minute. I feel like it's a little high. And wait for Hattie to pop on while I adjust my little guy here a little bit. Fun times, fun times. Hope everyone's summer has been good and coming to a good end. Except Hattie should be here in just a second. I think. Maybe. Possibly. There she is.
Hello.
Hello. We're now doing this from your kitchen because your internet in your room just refuses to cooperate.
You got it. You got it. I was back there and checking the internet. I'm so proud of myself for checking the internet. And then, yeah, I force it. I tell it to link to it.
Yeah.
It links to it. And then within 30 seconds,
it's done.
It's back on the LTE, and it's just not good enough for the video. So here we are in my kitchen.
Well, I mean, it's a nice kitchen. It's a nice background. It works for you.
Okay, well, that's good at least.
Yeah.
I hear you. George, I finally got my desk space all sorted so that the lighting was really good. I had everything that I needed. I had my setup for my camera.
Yep.
And then the internet decides to not work.
Not work. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, yes. How was your first day back at work at church?
It was so great. It was wonderful. I have so missed my people. This community of faith that is it was beautiful. It was really wonderful. So many great hugs. I will say my ability to lead worship is a little
rusty.
A little rusty. My sermon was a little rusty. A little rusty is a little what am I talking about? What?
I lost my train of thought. Yeah.
Ooh. I'm not a manuscript preacher, so maybe I need to be here for a couple of weeks as I kind of just get back in my rhythm. But
you'll get back into it.
Yeah. So, but no, it was really, it was just so great to be in this place that just so fully sees and validates me as both a child of God and as a validated leader in church. And I think for a lot of years I've really taken that for granted because it's just so arrogant. How do you understand this? But my ego, I never thought that I wasn't. It's never been a thing that I've been I've really wrestled with no, I'm a child of God and I have every right to do this and participate this way. Yeah. So and I don't know, there was something about sabbatical this year and some of the experiences I had with women who have not been, and particularly women in this particular case. So just really being present to that and to the table again. It was just great. It was just a really good healing. It was good to be away, and it's very good to be back.
Good to be back.
So
excellent.
Yep.
Very good.
It's nice when you can say that. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, to be clear, church was at 9 o'clock this morning, and I did not want to get out of bed and go, but I did.
And that you didn't. I mean, honestly,
I mean, I didn't want to, but I did.
Nobody wants to get out of bed to go to work, but then when we're hopefully for many of us when we're there, we're oh no, I do actually want to be in this space and with these people.
This is worth waking up and
yeah, no kidding, right?
It's really high praise. So tonight we're just talking some books, what we're currently reading. One of these days, you know what? Maybe not September, maybe October. We should do themed, scary, goth, atmospheric, as you just love your atmosphere. But maybe we can try one of these months to do another themed one.
Yeah, we haven't done the same one in a while. We should do that again.
We should do that. So anyway, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? What do you think?
Doesn't matter to me. I think, honestly, though, we should, at least some point, maybe we should just start off with it, talking a little bit about our book.
Mm-hmm.
So we are both in the midst of it. Hannah is read it. Was this your fourth time? Fourth time?
I think this is my fourth time through. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
This is my first time. But look at me. I got a lot of little flags too, Hannah.
That's really good, sis. Yeah. This is a working book for me. This is a book I come back to lots and lots.
Yeah.
So
Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown, and we're reading it for our book club in whatever month we're in. September? No, August.
October.
August. Woo-hoo! Alrighty. We think we're in August, maybe.
We're real smart. We're real smart.
We have like no idea what it is. Anyway,
no.
We're reading Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown for our book club. And yeah, this is like one of Hannah's like most favorite books. She reads it over and over again for herself, for her job. This is my first time reading through this book. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm about like halfway-ish. I'm like right here. You know, I was about halfway.
I just got into the resilience chapter. What chapter?
Yo, actually, that's exactly like this is resilience is where my bookmark is. So we're like at the same spot.
Cool.
And I actually am really enjoying this book I read like a chapter at a time. So I'm not trying to like absorb it all at once, which I think is really helpful that I like gave myself the time to just kind of work through the different ideas and different sort of like thought problems, action problems, you know, that she's going through, and giving myself sort of time to absorb it and think about it, which I think was a really good idea, because I think it would be difficult to process in like, you know, if you gave yourself like 4 days, like, oh crap, that one wasn't so long, I can read that in a couple 4 days for book club. And then I think that would be doing the book a disservice, and I think it would be doing yourself a disservice, because I don't think it would give you enough time to really think through and absorb and figure out how this works in your life. Because for her, because she works and of course Hannah knows tons about Adrienne Marie Brown, so if I misspeak, definitely correct me, Hannah. But she is coming from a perspective of like social movement. She's working in sort of that activism, activism and social movements and this sort of thing. So that's where her perspective is coming from. And she's really talking about this sort of like radical different way of doing things, right? Of running companies, of learning who you are yourself, of being a family member, of being a community member, right? But then ultimately for her, you know, in her work, that comes out in here as part of these social movements. And for me, I'm reading it right now as the new semester is starting, and I'm like, I'm thinking so much about, especially your stuff about like community and not any one person having to have all the answers. Like you can act like it's so much better when you let everyone bring their intelligence, their gifts to the table. So like in my head, like I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, this is like, first off, I have to let go of being like the teacher and being the one who knows everything.
Well, our whole educational system is set up on expert a paradigm, right? An expert paradigm that is like, you know, exuding and dumping into empty vessels knowledge, right? So they have nothing. That's the whole paradigm.
Absolutely fair. And not only do I, like, as the, you know, professor standing in front of everybody, have to let go of that, but then I have to sort of like shepherd all of the students who are also like, you know, been taught in this paradigm their whole lives. You know, they're like 18, 19, 20-year-olds and have been through 12, you know, years of this exact paradigm. So getting them pulled out of that, or at least giving them some tools to start thinking about like, this isn't the only way. So this book is like, I'm just saying, like, I'm also reading a couple other like teaching books that are just like blowing me up this week, but
that are asking you to divest from your entire cultural norm. Basically, as an educator, like, no, yes, you've done all that. You have succeeded in this particular set of institutional norms. And guess what? They're problematic. And here's why. And here's the new ones. And you're like,
like this week, like every day this week, it's either like the Emergent Strategy or one of these other teaching books that I'm reading that I'm just like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm gonna have to like revamp my whole syllabus for next year, just completely change who I am in the classroom. I mean, you know, it's week one, but anyway. It's so great though. I just want to say that like reading Emergent Strategy and these other teaching books that I'm looking at this week, it's nice that like in so many ways they are focusing in the same direction, right? Of questioning like and thoughtfully analyzing and questioning what we're doing as educators, and how to do that in a way that actually doesn't leave people behind, students behind, in a way that's actually really meaningful, right? Not just a soundbite, no child left behind.
Right. It's not a name of a bill that's
right.
easy
That doesn't do
to
anything. It actually like purposefully and then like conscientiously trying to figure out how to incorporate these practices into your classroom, into your syllabus, into your teaching style, so that you can actually educate, actually teach them how to learn, and to think, and make a really great space for everyone, right? Which is huge in my class because we do a lot of like talking, discussion, and this sort of stuff.
Right. I'm trying to think if it's in this book. She has a spell around space that I and a good friend of mine use, where we do coevolution, which is coevolution friendship, which is, you haven't got that far yet.
I don't think so.
No, you haven't.
Okay.
I know where it's at.
No, you haven't. I have it memorized. You're right. I don't.
You haven't. Trust me.
I actually wrote this book, so I think I know.
No, you haven't. I'm telling you. That wasn't I didn't need your affirmation.
I'm sorry.
But, sorry. But she has, I'm going to see if I can find it and send it to you. I'm trying to remember if it's from, I don't think it's in here. I think it's in one of her other books of spells, poetry. This is what she calls her poetry spells. But it's about space, and it starts with there is no such thing as safe space. There's just courageous space. And like the ability, and like kind of like shifting that to a little bit where, and it's such a nice about being vulnerable and knowing we're going to screw up and we're going to hurt each other, but we can be resilient in that, and we can absorb that and work through that. It's really, really well done. I'll see if I can find that for you. It might just be a helpful, like some good language around about what that spacing means. Because just like everything, right? Just like No Child Left Behind, a safe space has lost all its meaning, right? Like, what does that mean? Because humanity is just too complex to be like, well, you will always feel good here. No, that's not safety. You know, like, you're not gonna always feel warm and fuzzy. Like, and I think that has gotten lost sometimes. So anyway, that was just, I just thought about that. And the other part you haven't gotten to in this book, and I assume it's a theme in your other ones around it, but for me, the greatest hope in this book for me is towards the end when she talks about the iterative process. Like, this is experiment, trial and error. Like, this isn't, and you do tiny things. You take small steps. It's not like, we aren't throwing out all of education and saying like, well, that's just wrong and we can't do that. But it is like looking at your context, what you can do, the power positions that you have in the classroom, in the organization, to like work on that. Rebecca, the name of this book, and you will love this book, is Emergent Strategy, Shaping Change and Changing Worlds. And it is so deeply connected to the institutional church as well. Like, in terms of, like, as much as Hattie's saying around education and like the shift of priority and values, really, it's a value shift from what we've been taught. And so it's so deeply good around the church and as well, and really good language, I think. Obviously.
Well, you and I talked about that a little bit the other day too, you know, about how like this radical sort of thing that she's talking about, it is applicable. I mean, she's applying it in her life, which is, you know, in social movements and activism and so on and so forth. And I'm reading it and I'm really thinking about it, especially this week in particular, because it's the beginning of my semester. I'm really thinking about it as an educator. And when you're reading it, you know, you're thinking about it as not just, and also like your own life experience as well, like as an individual.
For me, I have to say, this has also been one of the places that has shifted me and given me language to talk to my husband about our family structure and moving from a deeply patriarchal, white supremacist understanding, which is a pyramid, right? Which is that pyramid that we see in fractals. Fractal from the very smallest, that's a subversion strategy word.
Good job, Hannah.
Thank you. To our governments, right? Like, it's like this. It's a pyramid with, you know, the person on power at top with the tiny person, and then, like, you know, the masses below. And the family structure is that structure, historically, has been that structure in Western civilization. And so really trying to continue to divest from that. But, like, that is a long, hard process.
It is.
You don't just, like, decide to flatten that and be like, okay, we're flat now.
We're fine now. Yeah, we got this new thing and we're just doing it. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
no,
that's...
it doesn't work like that. I mean, it's just relationships don't work like that. And at least in my world, heteronormative relationships do not work like that. And so, but it has offered a lot of language around working through some of those things. And then that practice again, like the language around about practice, like, it's not about perfection. It's not about attaining a place. It's about practice. I mean, oh, it's so good. Ew, sorry, I love this book so much.
She does. And when I was talking to my mom about it, that's actually about, like, to Hannah's point about this being a practice, right? I said to my mother about it because we were just talking about this book because she's in our book club. And I said to her, I feel like the way Adrienne Maree Brown is framing this is like, this is the journey. And that is the important part, right? Like doing these small things, doing the stuff day in and day out, and knowing you're going to screw up, but you just keep at it, you know, this iterative thing, and just keep doing it. Just keep doing better, right? And that's actually the important thing, right? Like, that is the important thing. The daily process, the journey, right?
And that changes the world.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing that ever has. But, like, it is so hard to see the hope in that sometimes. Like, and I get that. Trust me, I get that. But it is, anyway, a very hope-filled book for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm really enjoying it. I'm, like, really glad that we're reading it. And I'm super interested to hear what the other people in our book club have to say about it in a couple weeks.
Me too.
We have our meeting. It'll be really interesting.
And I told Hattie she just has to be really, I have to be like, because it's going to be, it could be, because I do, not everybody gets it. And not everybody's here, and not everybody's ready to hear it. Yeah. And for some people, this isn't what they want to hear, or it isn't easy to access. And I have to accept that. I don't like to, and I'll say it here. They're wrong and I'm right, but that's not the point.
It isn't even about being wrong or right, though. It is about what you were saying, Hannah, about, like, if people are at a place where they can enter into it. And by enter in, I just mean, like, be able to hear what she's saying, right? I'm not even talking about necessarily, like, entering into her practices in your own world, right? But I'm just saying, like, enter into actually sort of hearing this and hearing this in a way that doesn't make you feel bad about yourself. Right. Because that is
not the point. Right. Yeah. Right. That's not the point. And I will just say, like, for me, and I've said this to you many times, but, like, the language she uses, the way she speaks, the way she writes, it speaks to my soul. And I do acknowledge, like, her poetry is, like, for me, it's, like, just, like, so good.
I will just say, like, I literally just, like, that's a graduate student read, all the poetry stuff, and moving on. Like, but that's how it is. Like, and that's okay. Like, everybody can read this book and enter into it, but just we're all at different places, and we, you know,
observe it. What I love about this book is that she offers so many different paradigms to enter into. Like, there's this grounding in nature. She does these quotes, but there's also, like, really practical. Like, I think she does a great job of offering, like, this happened in the Occupy Wall Street. Like, this happened in this institution that I worked for and with, and, like, really clear examples of good and bad sometimes. For people that have that kind of a mind. And then, she intersperses with some poetry from time to time. And I think, for me, I love that about this book, too, that it is such a genre, like, breaking lots of different ways of entering into the same sort of understanding. Or, you know what I mean? Like, different values. So anyway, okay, we could talk about this for 30 minutes, but nobody else wants to.
But nobody else wants to hear about it for 30 minutes, so you talk about something else. And we'll move on.
So I'm going to talk really quickly. This is a book I finished while I was on my retreat. The Last American Man by Elizabeth Gilbert. I picked this up randomly at Barnes and Noble, and I'm gonna write a review about it. So this is just a little preview. I am deeply conflicted about this book. It's just this short, tiny little. It is a book. It's a nonfiction. She's writing about a man that she knows. His name is Eustace Conway, and he is like an American naturalist. And he, at 18, left his house, went and built a teepee in the middle of North Carolina, and that's where he lived. And so it's just, and she knows him. She met him. She actually met his brother, and then she met him, and she's been part of this relationship with the Conway family for her whole life, or her adult life. And so she has like deep love for this family. And she's talking about this man and this kind of like our American understanding of men. And not necessarily the toxicity of like toxic masculinity. That's not quite what she's talking about, but like this idea of the lone wolf who lives in, but like he also is deeply communal. Anyway, I have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
And I'm really conflicted because here's the thing. I love Elizabeth Gilbert's writing.
Oh, okay, sure.
I did not love Eat, Pray, Love. I did not love that book. It's a really fine book.
Yeah.
I did read her Signature of Everything. So good, worth the read. I think you read her newer novel about girls.
Yes.
It's a girl thing. You told me to read it.
Yes, I did read that one. I can't remember what it's called. It might have been called Girls.
It's something about girls. It's a girl. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I really do enjoy her writing, like her writing style, the way that I enjoy her voice a great deal. I'm really conflicted about this book, and I'm conflicted internally too because it's like this, it's playing on like that Daniel Boone and Western iconography of like American men and like testing yourself to this nth degree, and I'm not, and like we grew up with that.
Yes, we did.
Right?
Yes.
And there is a whole paragraph. I'm actually going to take a picture of it and send it to our family text chain about plastic buckets.
Plastic buckets.
Yeah, because he loves, I use chainsaws all the time to take care of my land. I use telephones and plastic buckets. My God, but plastic buckets are great. There's this whole paragraph about plastic buckets that are like my dad to a T.
Our dad,
I felt like there was a thing about like finding a plastic bucket on the side of the road, but maybe I made that part up. Anyway, so there's just a lot of things that it's like really conflicting for me. So I'm gonna write about it. I have read it. I think I gave it like 3 stars, and I haven't actually written the review yet. But I'm gonna work on the review of it because I think it's an interesting conflation of a lot of different parts of myself.
Yeah.
And also like I want to honor that she really does love these people, which it just needs to be read in that way. But I also think there could be like a little bit more critique about some of this as well. So
I hear you.
But anyway, so that's just a short little thing. I wouldn't say don't read it if it sounds interesting, like read it, give it a read. But yeah, I'll be putting a review out later this week about it.
Awesome.
Like, oh God, it's been like sitting like in my brain.
It's like you just need to say some stuff to get it out.
Yeah, and of course I was reading it when I was like out in nature during my like last 3 days of retreat. Right. So it was like, oh, I can make a fire from wood. No, I can't. I need a match. I need a match. Like,
I'm not that guy. I'm
not that guy. So anyway, all right. What about you? What do you got?
Okay, so I'm gonna jump since Hannah did a little short one. I should get a badge of honor. I finished it, everybody. Middlemarch by George Eliot. 800 pages. 800 pages. Like this. These are big pages. They don't even fit on the camera. That's how 800 pages of George Eliot Middlemarch. And I finished.
I like it. You just keep saying it over and over.
Because it's the
big one. You did it, people. It happened.
It happened. Anyway, I will say it's not like my most favorite big, long, fat classic that I've read. Okay, that's fair. I'm glad that I read it. Like, I don't like regret taking the time to sort of just like read it. It did take me like almost 3 months. I think I started it like mid-May or maybe like the beginning of June. And I literally just finished it like last week maybe. I think it was last week. I think it's been since we had our last BiblioTalk. So it took a while.
Rebecca said 800 pages. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's what basically like it's very like 19th century writing in the sense that you just feel like, okay, I have read so many words, and has anything happened? Has anything happened?
It's if you remember just the last time, I think it was maybe or 2 times ago, I was talking about like modern fantasy, where it's like things happen and all of a sudden I'm like, really, not this much happens in a day.
Yeah, like the opposite.
Nobody has that much drama in a single 3-hour period. Like, that's fine.
Like, and that's the opposite of that. This is just like, wow, I'm reading. And then the other thing that's a little bit difficult, I will just say for like the modern reader, especially like as a woman, is there's so much embedded in like the sexism of the time, and the women think this way too. Like, you know, they're not a bunch of like liberated, you know, mid 19th century ladies who are, you know, out to get the vote. Like, that's not who we're talking about. That's not what these ladies are doing, right? They're obeying their husbands and they're feeling bad when their husbands treat them like crap, you know, but it's their fault, you know, like they believe it's their fault, you know. And so that makes it really hard. Like, it makes it a little difficult to get like to, you know, to find any characters endearing is what that does, right? And that's just the ethic, right, that these people were, you know, living in. This was normal. This was like life. But it makes no one endearing because the men are treating everybody like crap because, you know, obviously everybody knows that they're superior and they know everything. And then the women who are being treated like crap also think that the men know everything and clearly they screwed up. And anyway. That made it difficult too. So I'm just gonna say, like, it's one of those classics that's in no way, shape, or form gonna become like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's a beautiful book.
What was that?
It's a beautiful book.
It's a super beautiful copy. It really, really is, and it will stay on my shelf because it's such a gorgeous copy, and it's a classic, and I'm fine with that. But definitely not gonna go on like my favorites. Anything.
Yeah, it's fair.
But you know, I got through it. I read it. I hunkered down.
Good job.
So,
got it done.
Yeah, got that one done.
Okay, I'm going to go on a real quick, like...
Yeah, bang, bang, bang.
Bang, bang, bang. Really quickly, I am currently in the middle of towards the end of Bread and Wine. I might actually get it finished tonight. By Ignazio Solone. Italian, translated by Eric Mossbacher. I picked this up because Dorothy Day read it and was like her emergent strategy. That was what her book was. Yeah. And it is a fiction novel of an activist in Italy, Second World War.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with it. I'd help you, but I don't know.
One of the two. 36.
That would be before World War II, but
before World War II. Okay. So, but an activist in Italy, and he ends up impersonating a priest, and like how that allows him to actually have political conversations he would not be able to have otherwise, not as a priest.
Yeah.
So it's not, again, it's like not going to be like it's like not the greatest book I've ever read, but it's really interesting, and like how much of it is still so deeply relevant when it comes to social activism and how it is that we are in how we are political people in public spaces. So that part is really interesting in the conversations. I mean, I got some tabs here too, because it's just like these really interesting ideas that they're like processing out loud. So that one's really good. I mean, I'm enjoying that for what it is. Dune, if you want to hear about my thoughts on Dune, I just wrote a blog. It is up. You can go check that out. Check out the post earlier. Dune is Dune. Yeah. That's what Dune is.
Yep.
And then also I think my third time through on that one. And then I actually just am starting this it's called Rumi Revealed. Selected poems from the Divan of Shams. And so I've read Rumi from time to time, and I've never really like gotten deep into Rumi's poetry, but I've been wanting to. So I'd seen this one, and it had been recommended in another book I read. So we're gonna give it a try, and it'll be kind of like my devotional piece.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I just started that, so I don't have much on that. So that's kind of like what my current reads are, and then I have two that I was just gonna talk about like coming up hopefully in the next 2 weeks before our next. But yeah. But what do you got? What are you in the midst?
First off, I just wanted to say really quickly, I have some of my students reading a little bit of Rumi, essential Rumi. And so if that seems really accessible, like once you like read through it or whatever, you feel like that might be more accessible to like, you know, young adults, just like let me know, and I might just get a hold of it and maybe use some of those in my class. The ones I use aren't hard, but like students have a hard time with Rumi just because it's a bit abstract and poetry, and they're like, I don't know what to do with this, you know, kind of thing. So,
yeah. Will do.
Okay, so I just finished The Poison Thread, which is also, I had the hardest time with this one. I'm putting it into my Goodreads because the original title was The Corset. So if you read The Corset by Laura Purcell, then this is the same book. I guess they changed the title for the later editions. I'm not sure why. And this is like early Victorian Gothic. It's like totally what I'm into like right now this time of year. I love it. Laura Purcell is the thing that got me onto her. We're actually reading The Silent Companions, which is, this is probably her most famous one. And I read it a couple years ago, and we're reading this next month for book club. And if you're into sort of just like, I don't know, she has a way of like, I was saying to Hannah about The Poison Thread. There's like a feeling that you like get inside of you when you're reading her stuff. I'm not gonna say it's like a good feeling. It's like, it's a creepy feeling is what it is. It's like a creepy sort of like, it's that kind of feeling, but it's like the good creepy feeling that like people who like Gothic lit and sort of this atmospheric kind of literature are like kind of going,
like to feel creeped out a little bit.
Like me. If you're weirdo like me, this one's pretty good. I don't like it as much as The Silent Companions, but it is pretty good. So it's definitely worth the read. And then the other one, right alongside it, of course, because I'm me, is The Haunting of Alma Fielding. And this subtitle is A True Ghost Story. And this is by Kate Summerscale. And this is actually the story of a woman post-World War I in England. And the story, it's a true ghost story, is what I'm saying. So this book is put together with like the evidence that this ghost hunter who met up with Alma Fielding to sort of investigate the haunting that she was experiencing, his sort of like scientific notes of like meeting her and like what was happening and the stuff that she could do. You can tell I'm a skeptic. That's probably why I like this stuff, because I'm such a skeptic. Like, but he was too, and that's kind of the greatest part about it, is like there's this ghost hunter who's a skeptic, who's literally like, he's kind of believing her, but always sort of not. And it just comes out. I haven't finished the book yet, so I don't really know how it's gonna you know.
We'll have to wait and see. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about it, but this was a real woman who was experiencing some things in her home, things that she could do, that for her, there was no other explanation other than ghosts. And she was sort of a medium. She could talk to and communicate with.
So it's nonfiction. So this is a nonfiction book.
Okay. This is nonfiction.
Very cool. Very cool.
So anyway, there's seances. It's like the whole shebang, except for there's this extra sort of twist to it, because it's like, this is all put together from his like field notes of investigating her haunting, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. That is interesting.
Super interesting. So anyway, that's what I'm reading now. And then the other ones that I have here, you guys, seriously, they're all the same. The Silent Companions, Gothic lit. Jekyll and Hyde and Other Ghost Stories, Gothic lit. And Her Little Flowers, which is a haunted house in England, Gothic lit. Maybe a theme. Those ones are coming up, but I'm super excited about all of them.
Yeah. So my two that are coming up are, and I am excited about both of them. One is from the library, so I have to get it read. It's called Welcome to the Goddamn Ice Cream.
Okay.
So
it
is a memoir by Blair Braverman, Chasing Fear and Finding Home in the Great White North. So I have been slightly interested in natural, nature-y things, I think, having gone on my little thing. Yes. And then slight spoiler, Hattie and I are going to be walking the Appalachian Trail next spring. Yeah. Spoiler. So I think I feel like slightly like, oh, I just need to be outdoorsy. Anyway, It's not true. But so I had looked on some websites for like some new, or on Pinterest or whatever, and this one kept coming up as one of them. Yeah. And this is a woman in Alaska. Sorry, I keep saying Australia. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
It has to be north, so it's definitely not Australia.
No.
I mean,
no. She left her home in California. She moved to Arctic Norway, and then she moved to a glacier in Alaska. So I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be funny. Yeah. And so memoirs are not usually my favorite thing in the whole wide world, but I'm trying to be a little bit more open. Sure. And hoping that it's like on all of the things. Yeah. So we're going to give that a go. And I'm excited about that. And then this is my fiction that's up next. I have a lot of fiction up next, but I really want to read A Warrior Girl Unearthed. This is Angeline Booley, who did Firekeeper's Daughter, which I loved. And I didn't realize it was a mystery novel, and I think this one is too. But it's set in the same world. It's like a companion novel, so it's not like it's not a series, but like a different character in the same world community. And so I'm really looking forward to it. And I've had a couple of people on the book in the bookwork say that they've really enjoyed it. Oh, good. So I think I'm going to get that one as soon as Bread and Wine is done. That one's up. That one's up. I love it. Yeah, for my nonfiction. So awesome, yeah, I mean, I have to stop buying books, but other than that, yeah, things are great.
Hey, I would just like to say to everybody that I'm really proud of myself this week. Hannah knows this already. I am like 90% there on figuring out how to get Audible books from my local library. So I'm just saying, if I can do it, pretty much anyone on the planet can do it. I'm only 90% there yet because I haven't actually gotten the book yet because it was on hold for 3 days. So like tomorrow, I think either tomorrow or Tuesday, I'll get the book.
That's exciting.
And we'll see how it goes. And we'll see if I can actually like figure it out. It's probably really easy. And everyone else is probably like, wow, it took you that long to figure that out.
Well, which is they don't know that you're a Luddite.
I know. And I am a Luddite. So that's also like a huge part of the problem. So I literally I had to make myself a Post-it note. And I put it on my calendar and I said, figure out Audible at the library. And then the same day, my library posted a thing about getting Audible books at the library.
They're called audio books because Audible is
audio books. Audio book. You're right. Yeah. And like that day, the Bucks County Public Library their post that day or whatever.
It's like,
I saw that morning.
You can do it.
It's like, you can do this. So I hunkered down and I think I figured it out. Exciting. I'll report back next time because by then I'll know for sure if I figured it out. But yeah.
Yeah. Good.
You can do it, people. You can do it.
You really can.
You can.
You don't have to buy books like me.
No, you really don't have to be like Hannah. Like I read as many books as Hannah, and she has way more books than me.
No, yeah, it's not healthy.
No, but Hannah's got like a problem. To be fair, like I buy more lipstick than like most people could ever even use in a lifetime, like in a year. So like it's just a different thing.
We all have our thing. Yeah. Mine just happens to be books.
Yeah.
Anyway, but okay, so that is our BiblioTalk for this evening. We will be back in a couple of weeks. I don't think we've scheduled our next ones through September yet.
No, we haven't scheduled them, but it'll probably be 2 weeks because next week's the holiday weekend, so we'll probably do it the week after that, probably.
And I'm gonna throw an invitation out there. If there is something that you'd like us to read and talk about before the end of the year, like let us know. Shoot us a message. Let us know what you're reading that you're liking. If you'd love for us to like read it and talk about it, we would be happy to do that. If you want us to hate it, just let us make sure we know that. Or if you want us to love it, make sure we know that.
I think your friend who is in our thing said that her thing was yarn. Yours was books, mine was lipstick, hers is yarn.
Yeah, Rebecca does. But Hattie, you should check out some of her beautiful creations.
Oh yeah.
Seriously though, Rebecca, her crocheting is like on point.
Okay.
Knitting.
So she's actually got like
now
a
I'm
real
not joking
talent
it's her
too.
crochet, but she is on point. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I believe you.
Anyway, so okay, that is all. Rebecca, thank you for joining us tonight. Thanks to anyone else who watches later, and thanks for being part of the book war community. We appreciate
Crochet. She crochets.
what I thought, and I was like, maybe I said that.
You said it wrong.
I said it right first, but then wrong. That's how I do.
It's all good.
Right.
It's all good.
All right, sis. Love you. Talk to you later. Everyone have a great Sunday night, and we'll be back in a few weeks. Okay.
Bye, everybody. Bye.